I'm going to show you how to make my free candy cane ornament from Kreative Kiwi. For this I'm going to be using a 5x7 hoop, 2 layers of wash away stabiliser, a matching bobbin and thread, 2 for the cane and 1 for my fabric, some squizzers, pins, masking tape, some ribbon, some cord to add a hanging loop, and my fabrics and batting cut to size. You'll find a link to this design in the video description below, along with lots of other information, so please do take the time to have a look. You're going to start by hooping 2 layers of wash away stabiliser. And then we're going to pin around the top edge of our hoop, and that's going to stop our stabiliser from being pulled down between the 2 hoop pieces. So take a pin, lay it on the inside frame, push it through your stabiliser, bring it back round and through the stabiliser again, and that will anchor it. You're going to do that on all 4 sides of your hoop, and the larger the hoop you have, the more pins you will use. Load your neutral matching bobbin and thread into your machine, and then you're going to stitch round number 1, and that's going to give you a placement outline for your batting and also the marker for your hanging loop if you're going to add one. I'm going to be using a red thread so that you can see what I'm stitching rather than white, which will match my fabric. If you're going to be adding a hanging loop, you're now going to place it over this marker line. I'm going to turn this to the side so that I can see what I'm doing. Take your cord for your loop or your ribbon, whatever you're using. Place it over the marker and then tape it in place. If you're going to be adding a ribbon or ribbons, you can add 2 at a time. If you wanted to attach it to a bottle or something like that, because then it could wrap around the bottle on the back. You can now place your ribbons for that in place. If you're adding 2, then you'll place your first one face down and your second one face up over the top. If you're adding just 1, then you'll just place it face up. Now you need to make sure that you keep your ribbon out of the way of the hooks on the canes, otherwise it's going to get caught in the satin stitching later on. So place your ribbon in place, then tape it down, and then just fold your ribbon tails down and tape them in place, and that will keep them out of mischief until the end. You're now going to place your batting over the top and tape that in place as well. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 2 to secure them. Remove your tape from the batting, and then you're going to trim up the excess from around the edge of the stitch line, so make sure that you don't cut your stitches nor your ribbons. Leave your tape in place for the ribbon and for the hanging loop. We're now going to add our fabrics both back and front of the hoop, so turn your hoop over. Place your backing fabric over the outline and tape it in place. You're now going to do the same with the front, so place your fabric over the outline and tape that in place as well. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 3 to secure them. I do advise that you use a matching bobbin and thread that's very close to your fabric colour for this, so that it doesn't show up through the stitching when we come to do the satin stitch border. You can now trim up the excess fabric from around the edge of the candy canes, both back and front of your hoop, so turn your hoop over and trim away. When trimming around the front, make sure that you don't cut off your ribbon or your hanging loop. With your neutral bobbin and thread still loaded into your machine, you're now going to stitch round number 4, and that's going to zigzag the raw edges around the candy canes. Load your matching bobbin and thread colour for the stripes and satin stitch border of the right hand candy cane into your machine, and then you're going to stitch round number 5. Check before you do anything that your masking tape that's holding your ribbons down isn't going to interfere with the satin stitch edge. If it is, then reposition your tape. Load your matching bobbin and thread colour for the second candy cane into your machine, and then stitch round number 6. And again, that's going to do the stripes and the satin stitch border. So now that's all the stitching done, I've removed the tape that was holding my ribbon down, and you've got 2 choices here. You can either tie your bow now or afterwards. I'm going to tie mine in the hoop because I find it slightly easier. So just tie it as you would normally. And if you make your first loop with the ribbon that hangs at the bottom, you will get a nice neat bow. So make your loop and tie it, and then I just faff about a little bit with my ribbon tails. And that's my bow, all nice and neat. And we can now free this from the hoop. So turn your hoop over, and taking care not to cut off your hanging loop or anything else, trim around the edge of the stitch line. Now all that we have to do is dissolve the excess stabiliser from around the edge. So take a cotton bud and some warm water, dip your cotton bud in and just wipe it around the edge, and that will dissolve the excess stabiliser. Trim up the end of your ribbon tails. And that's your candy cane ornament complete. If you enjoyed this stitch along, if you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified of new videos as soon as they're published. Do pop along to Kreative Kiwi's Facebook group. There's always lots of ideas, help and inspiration there for everybody. And thank you very much for joining me. You'll find a link to this design in the video description below, along with lots of other information such as where I get my supplies and some discount codes for you as well.